All right, have not fans. Now, this is my first video that I'm recording since the live stream I did, and I have to say that it just felt good to be back in the live streaming game. It just felt good, communicating with you all again, and I hope to do it soon, as opposed to, having there be a week or so break in between live streams. But in this video, I have several I want to record, and I'm not going to strain my voice unless my voice is strong enough to do like a bunch of videos at once. Currently, I have 3 videos on my list. For this particular one, I'm really going to be talking about Madison because, if you haven't seen the episode review, and I haven't really done a good job promoting it, I might have to spread it around on social media more. I gave Tomorrow's Not Promised a 9 out of 10. I just thought the acting was great in the episode. I thought that things were happening, not just being spoken about. Characters were actively moving around, and that's one thing that I give this episode credit for, because typically most of like the Tyler Perry shows are characters on their phone. I remember a couple of weeks ago, I think I posted on my Instagram page like a joke about that in regards to, man, it's like, just take a shot every time somebody's on their phone talking with someone else, because it's the same thing. People are talking, but a lot of things aren't getting done. But I really do believe this episode was a strong one. And if I were to gripe about one thing in particular, it would just be Madison's level of unprofessionalism. I think that's a word, but either way, he actually did what I don't like a lot of characters to do, and that's act on their emotion, which usually ends to their downfall. Maggie Day falling, into Veronica's trap. And when Veronica was in jail, excuse me, when David got arrested, she pretty much lost her her mind and pretty much fabricated a story between Jim and Veronica conspiring together, and that got David out of jail. But then the aftermath was her being killed because she foolishly trusted Veronica and went to her house, and then she got shot. Warlock, emotionally unstable, decided to take on the Malones and ended up dead, and then the list goes on. So hopefully this isn't a sign that Madison is about to die, because I do believe he's going to be in next season. So we shall see. So this video is really asking the fan base the question, and this came up a lot in both my Instagram and YouTube live stream. Should Madison lose his job? Should Madison lose his job? I think that he definitely put the hospital in a very terrible position, due to the fact that, maybe I should have done a bit more research before filming this, but I did talk about this in my other videos, that I'm not an expert, but I'm pretty sure that the Harringtons could sue the hell out of the hospital for grief, emotional stress, false information, because Madison jumped the gun, no pun intended, and called, the Harringtons. Well, technically, he was trying to get in contact with David. Keisha called Veronica, not knowing the Ice Queen for who she is, but she rightfully said, well, she's on his list of contacts, so that's who I called. And they pretty much were brought down to the hospital, and Veronica said one of the best lines of the episode when she asked, is it Jeffrey, my son? We're not sure yet. Then why the hell did you call me? Very good point. And believe it or not, I think Veronica treated Keisha way more respectfully than she would have treated a lot of other people in the show. Based off how she's treated other nurses, bellmen at the hotels, and the list goes on. So I feel like, in that moment, I think the biggest thing for me was Veronica's, homophobic rant, and just assumption that they're all liars and whatnot. Just like, all black people steal, or all Asian people look alike. And I'm just saying some common stereotypes that are generalized amongst different people when it comes to people of different races, genders, and sexuality. But I feel like Angela's acting was on point. But yeah, Madison pretty much not only gave the Harringtons ammunition to sue the hospital if they so wanted to, but also it just gave more, I guess you could say, and I say this from the mindset of Veronica, not how I really feel, but it gave her more evidence that, yeah, all of you homosexuals are liars. I can smell the lies on you. Madison generally thought that it was Jeffrey, so he wasn't lying. He just didn't have all the facts. So he pretty much He was kind of like the boy that quiet. I don't know why I sound like Elmer Fudd there for a second. Quiet. The boy who cried wolf. But I mean, in that story, the boy was just trying to make trouble, and then he ended up getting eaten. But in this case, Madison was trying to stop something before it happened. In regards to, imagine if the man was Jeffrey, and then he waited long enough to confirm the identity. And I do believe Keisha said that the man that was shot did not have ID on him, so they weren't able to identify who it was. So theoretically, if Jeffrey were the African American that was shot and didn't make it, then, the Harringtons would have been called down to the hospital to identify the body. However, you have to think about everything else that happened in between. When, they got called to the hospital prematurely, they saw the body being rolled into the hospital, and then they were freaking out as a result. So Madison made a huge no-no. He literally called people down there, and he said if he had the choice, he wouldn't have brought Veronica in this at all. But Keisha, called the number. So things may not have been as bad if it was just David. But yeah, this definitely is not a good look on Madison as a worker at the hospital. And then this is going to lead to a lot of legal trouble if the Harringtons want to take it that far. I think that if anything, and this is just me, I think David will lash out at the beginning of the next episode, but he won't do anything. At the very least, I could see Veronica screwing Madison's career over at the hospital. Like, after she deals with Justin putting him in jail, I think that she'll make it her own personal mission. Like, my son is alive, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Justin by getting him in jail. And then I'm going to just get Madison done with the hospital, because once again, I get it. Madison was doing what he thought was right. But my problem is, when it came to David, when he had the heart attack, when he was being rolled out of the room, Jeffrey kept badgering Madison with questions, because the stakes were high in that moment. But Madison was like, I can't tell you. Then Justin standing right there, but then he says he had cardiac arrest, and then Jeffrey kept asking questions, and then he's like, well, I can't tell you. Then why did you say anything to begin with? So yeah, Justin being an asshole, but in that moment he was absolutely correct that Madison shouldn't have said anything. He would go check on David and then bring back the information. But when it came to Jeffrey, that's when he just lost his, cool. And then that's how the situation escalated when it really didn't need to. So I do feel like when it comes down to it, the emotions really took over, and his instincts as a professional took a back seat while his heart took the reins. So I'm not saying I hate Madison. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. I just think that he didn't act in a professional manner. And because of that, the Harringtons have the ammunition to take him down, if not the hospital too. But on top of that, you just gave Veronica more ammunition when it comes to her, all homosexuals are liars and things like that. So he did more harm than good, even though he was trying to do the right thing. But then look back to when a couple episodes ago, when he knew that Jeffrey went over to Jeffrey's place and then was getting advice from Keisha when it came to should I interfere or not, because Jeffrey told me not to. The last time I told on him, he got mad. But in this situation, as Keisha said, it was life or death. So in that moment, Jeffrey, I don't think, here's my thing. I can see Jeffrey being upset at the entire, I guess you could say, circumstances of his parents thinking he was dead and then being upset as a result of that. That makes 100% sense. Jeffrey should not be mad at Madison telling David that he was at that address, because I feel that if Jeffrey truly did not want any help at all, he wouldn't have sent Madison that address to begin with. I think that's when, Justin went to fix dinner, or, I think it was to fix dinner, if I'm not mistaken. And this was after he broke that wine bottle and had the glass to his neck. And then Jeffrey was cleaning it up, and he looked over at the mural of creepy pictures of him. And then he decided to text Madison the address. I think at that moment he felt like, yeah, I might need backup. But then when David shows up, that's when Jeffrey just loses his mind. Like, look, get out of here, I'm staying. But then it's going to end up where his parents are going to show up, he's going to be pissed off, and then wonder, how they got involved in this. And then, Veronica's going to say, well, that girl you were messing around with at the hospital told me you were dead, so I had to come over here and make sure, this wasn't a game he was playing. So I do feel like Jeffrey might lash out at Madison. So this will be strike 2. Technically strike 3, because strike 2 would have been him giving David the address. Strike 3 would have been telling his parents that he was shot when he really wasn't. So Madison might get, I don't know, man. I mean, we talk about Justin and Madison. Jeffrey might, he might have struck out in the worst way possible with Jeffrey. And I don't know, guys. Like, I don't want to see anything happen to Madison. He's just trying to do the right thing. But I think from a professional standpoint, he made the wrong call by making a call to David before getting all the information about the victim of the shooting. Yeah, so before moving any further into the video, special shout out to the actor who portrays Madison, Brock Urich. I hope I said that right. Be sure to follow him on social media. Very cool guy to talk with. And he does have a Twitter page with the same handle, if I'm not mistaken. So his information's on the screen. Be sure to follow him, and I will link his social media in the comment section below. And on top of that, if you're enjoying this video, take a moment to hit that like button. When the video's done, comment your thoughts on if Madison should lose his job. And most importantly, hit that subscribe button. Trying to hit the goal of 80,000 subscribers before the month of June is upon us, less than 24 hours away. Now, I don't know about you, but May certainly flew by. I don't know why that is. It's 31 days, yet it flew by. So at the moment, we need about 82 people at the time of this recording, and I'm confident we will hit that number. So, kind of wrapping things up here, we kind of just went over the situation that made Madison make the phone calls without getting all the information, the fact that the Harringtons could sue. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but I do feel like David probably won't do anything. Madison may have to deal with the repercussions of another strike or strikes with Jeffrey. And I think that after Veronica turns her wrath at Justin and puts him behind bars, she might report Madison for false information. And because of that, he might lose his job. Kind of like how Justin is suspended from the force based on Jim catching him allegedly putting his son in the act of sexual favors for drugs. And I say allegedly because Jim walked in at the right time to see what he needed to see, but since the cameras in the room weren't working, and I think we know why that is, he's under investigation, even though we had no what's up with the police in this show? We've had no follow-up on the Justin investigation, nor have we had follow-up on the cops going back to Hannah's house to get the fingerprints and whatnot from the night that Malik was over there harassing and assaulting her. Now, I do feel like when it comes down to it, Madison, let's say theoretically, Justin is put behind bars and he's there for a while. And, Jeffrey is at David's place and he knows that he might not know all the details about David's plan with Veronica, but he trusts his dad enough to just say, you know what, I'm going to stay away from Justin and, stay with you, but not, communicate with mom. So pretty much, even if Veronica still thinks that her and David are getting back together and that Jeffrey is, not seeing Justin anymore because he can't since he's going to be behind bars, we all know Veronica's still going to be doing her thing, trying to get her family back to the way she wants them to be, not the way they want to be. I guess it's the best way to put it. So where does that leave Madison theoretically? With Justin gone, he doesn't have to worry about Jeffrey seeing him anymore, but let's be completely honest here. Do we really not think that Jeffrey's going to not visit Justin in jail? Come on, let's be real here. Because that's one of the things I'm dreading, but most interested in finding out next week. Even after, the guns went off, why did Jeffrey stay at the house instead of just leaving? That's what the apartment. Why did he just stay instead of leaving? So I want to know what happened with that. Then when we get to the core, if Madison loses his job, I don't think he will, but I do think he deserves to at least be reported. I'm just saying. So we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, at the very core, Veronica may not do anything because if Keisha didn't make the phone call bringing her down to the hospital, then she wouldn't have found out the location of where Jeffrey would have been with Justin, meaning that she wouldn't have found out about those two seeing each other, and she wouldn't have been able to put a stop to it. So in a twisted way, she kind of has to thank Madison, I guess, if that makes any sense, because without his interference, then Veronica wouldn't have found out about Jeffrey and Justin still seeing each other. So I could definitely see that. Yeah, I mean, overall, Jeffrey might count up like 7 strikes, and I'm just exaggerating with the number, for Madison telling David the address. And then because of his interference, Veronica finds out that him and Justin were still seeing each other. So I don't know, man. Jeffrey might take those 3 strikes or 6 strikes or 10 strikes and, seriously take care of Madison. But I don't know if that's the case. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, will he still be assigned to helping David, or will someone else be taking his place? We'll just have to wait and see. I'm very interested to see what the aftermath of this is going to be. So like I said before, tomorrow's not promised. Very great episode. Off the top of my head, I think the next episode is called Second Chances. So that title does ring a lot of truth into the story. Will Jeffrey give Madison a second chance? Will yeah, I forgot what happened in the preview. It's been a while. It's been like 14 hours since I watched. I've been busy. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. The reason I'm getting these videos done a little early is I have like 100 items ending on eBay today. Then I have about 50 some items ending this weekend. So YouTube is going to take a little bit of a backseat over the next 48 hours. That's why I'm recording so much. So if you want to check out my eBay store, links are in the description below, as well as my other social media. Follow Brock on social media. Great guy to talk with, the guy that plays Madison, and hit that subscribe button so we can reach 80,000 subscribers. Congratulations on making it to the end of this video. If you like what you just saw, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, or if you have anything you would like to add to the video, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you want to keep up with me on social media, go to the description box. All of my links for social media are right there. Also, if you feel like you would like to donate to the channel, make sure to click on the link to PayPal. Any amount helps. $1, $5, $20. As a full-time YouTuber, any support from my fans really does mean a lot to me. Finally, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. That way you're kept up to date on any new content I post to the channel. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you in the next video.